this video, I'm going to be giving my opinion about the way that science is taught and how as science teachers and curricula developers, we have failed developing an understanding of what science actually is and the nature of science. I'm going to be using the example of the famous, or maybe I should call it the infamous video of a Fees Must Fall meeting where a young student, a leader who's obviously a strong leader and prepared to speak her mind, was exposed to being embarrassed by the world when this video clip came out. And I mean, initially I think I also rolled my eyes thinking, oh, this lack of understanding of science. And then I realized, but hang on, students only know science the way it's taught in school. And the failure was not with her ignorance about what science is or the process of science, but the failure lay squarely at those who had taught her science. And by ignorance I don't mean as a person, I mean just about understanding science. This is a young woman who, number one, has made it to university. So she's intelligent and she works hard. Secondly, she is a leader, someone who is prepared to stand up for what they believe is right. And she's eloquent and well-spoken, so those are all signs that this young lady is one of the leaders of the future. But the sad thing is, she has no understanding about what science is and how science works. And that is only because of the way she has been taught science. So that ignorance lays squarely at the feet of every single teacher who taught her science. And that is sad. And that is heartbreaking. So we need to really consider how we teach science and how science is taught. And we need to change it to empower people, not disempower them.
Responses, and then we'll take the next round.
Okay, so can I respond to your submissions, because I wanted to directly respond. I was actually thinking about this coming here because I thought that it was going to be one of the coming questions. How do we even start to decolonize science? Because science is true because it is science, and you know, what can you do? And my response to that was, if I personally were committed to enforcing decolonization, science as a whole is a product of Western modernity, and the whole thing should be scratched off, especially in Africa. So if you want practical solutions to how to decolonize science, we'd have to restart science from, I don't know, an African perspective, from our perspective of how we've experienced science. For instance, I had a question for all the science people. Is there's a place in KZN, in Mkabialingana, and they believe that through the magic, the black magic, you call it black magic, they call it witchcraft, others, that you are able to send a lightning to strike someone. So can you explain that scientifically? Because it is something that happens if
Sorry. Okay, and you agree to abide by the rules of the space. Thank you. Please carry on.
So I will finish. See, that very response is the reason why I am not in the science faculty. I did science throughout my high school years, and there was a lot of things that I just, but it's fine. But Western modernity is the direct antagonistic factor to decolonization, because Western knowledge is totalizing. It is saying that it was Newton and only Newton who knew or saw an apple falling, and then out of nowhere decided that gravity existed and created an equation, and that is it. For the whether people knew Newton or not, or whether whatever happens in Western Africa, Northern Africa, The thing is, the only way to explain gravity is through Newton, who sat under a tree and saw an apple fall. So Western modernity is the problem that decolonization directly deals with, to say that we are going to decolonize by having knowledge that is produced by us, that speaks to us, and that is able to accommodate knowledge from our perspective. So if you're saying that you disagree with her approach, it means that you are vested in the Western and Eurocentric way of understanding, which means you yourself still need to go back internally, decolonize your mind, come back and say, how can I relook at what I've been studying all these years? Because Western knowledge is very pathetic, to say the least. I, from a decolonized perspective, believe we can do more as new knowledge producers, as people who are given the ability to reason or whatever is that people say we do when we think or rationalize. So decolonizing the science would mean doing away with it entirely and starting all over again to deal with how we respond to the environment and how we understand it. Thank you.
This has got to be the most idiotic statement that has ever been made by any university student in the whole world.
If I personally were committed to enforcing decolonization, science as a whole is a product of Western modernity, and the whole thing should be scratched off, especially in Africa.
Now, one thing that I want to let you know before we level with this stupid kid is, in South Africa, the pass mark is 30%. They still struggle to get that 30%, right? And now, these are the kind of students that go to the universities. These are the kind of students that we're looking at right now. She's so confident. She brings it out with such amount of pride, okay?
If we want practical solutions to how to decolonize science, we'd have to restart science from, I don't know, an African perspective, from our perspective of how we've experienced science.
What? We should restart science? You got to be the most ungrateful person in the whole world. Even my 3-year young girl would not agree to such an idea. She knows that if you take away her little tablet, she's not going to be able to watch her nursery or pre-primary school rhymes that she watch on the internet. She's not going to be able to watch her favorite cartoons on the internet. She's not going to be able to play her favorite games. She can't allow you to take internet off, not even for a minute. And you saying we should restart all that? Are you really serious? Or are you just so stupid?
Science is two things. It is that body of knowledge which has been developed over time, with one person building on the work of another, or different people investigating a phenomenon and coming to the same conclusion at the same time. So the knowledge that makes up science, such as Newton's law, is developed through observation and through people thinking through processes and being able to state observations. And that's what a scientific law is. It's an observation. So yes, many people probably observed apples falling. But it was Newton who, drawing on the work of Galileo and Kepler, formulated his law of universal gravitation. So science is a way of knowing. People observing something, noticing something, questioning it, investigating it, then utilizing it to their advantage. The idea of chucking out the knowledge in science that has already been discovered is senseless or pointless, because that knowledge is there, it's been discovered. And when you know something, you can't suddenly unknow it. And it would be pointless and a waste of time and a waste of resources and a waste of skills for people to reinvent the wheel. The wheel's been invented. We've used it. Let's move forward. Let's make better discoveries. The one thing for me that is key from this video is that the way science has been taught, just as a body of knowledge, is problematic. Science needs to be taught as that process of investigation, of discovery, of using your intuition, of being aware of the natural environment and moving forward, taking something that has already been discovered and seeing how it can be bettered or improved. Obviously, that is not being taught in school science. We are not teaching students to notice things, to investigate things, to want to investigate things. We are not teaching students about the nature of science and how science develops over time. How if a theory does not fit with new discoveries, that theory is discarded. And how scientific discovery builds on the work of others.
I'm going to briefly provide an explanation of what science is from this website on understanding science. So this is just a brief outline of what the nature of science is. Science is both a body of knowledge and a process. And I know in school it just seems like a collection of isolated static facts listed in a textbook. But that's just part of the story. Science is the process of discovery that allows us to link these into a comprehensive understanding of the natural world. Science is also useful. The knowledge generated by science is powerful, it's reliable, and it can be used to develop new technologies, treat diseases, and deal with many other problems. Science is ongoing. It's continually being refined. It's expanding our knowledge of the universe. So we can't discard what we already know. Science is also a global human endeavor. People all over the world participate in this process we call science. Science is exciting as a way of discovering what's in the universe and how things work today, how they worked in the past, and how they're likely to work in the future. Scientists are motivated by fulfilling or figuring out something new that hasn't been discovered before. So why chuck it all out and start afresh? But science has its limits. Do gods exist? Do supernatural entities have or intervene in human affairs like sending lightning? No, those are supernatural. And by definition, they are beyond the realm of nature. And so science does not answer those questions.